Hey everybody, it's your boy Doc Williams, and today we're going to be doing side project Saturdays. We're vibe coding. Mr. Hackathon's in the building. First of all, what are we doing today? What do you got planned?
Yeah, I just wanted to vibe code, just practice. Um, we streamed yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. All these days are merging
We
together.
streamed yesterday, and people don't realize like I have a couple hours on a Saturday, and I will spend my time just building random projects, most of which you never see in the public. But it means that when let's say a client asks me, can I do this or how would I do this? I almost immediately know how I would approach it because I've seen similar situations like that in just my random projects trying to build, just like you, play around with lots of different tools and see, hey, what can things actually do? I think I hit my limit today, but I've fallen in love with Perplexity deep research. So maybe we can talk about that and some of the output and some of the things I'm thinking about in that space. But yeah, lots of interesting things in the AI space. I think today what I was thinking about, and you might know some people too, you have people that are working for Google, working for Amazon, some of the top companies that are not building like we're building. They're not up to speed like we're up to speed, like especially if it's their daily job. Once they get home, a lot of the time they're not really needs deep in it because they're doing it like 9 to 5. So yeah, I encourage everyone just to keep building and just try and keep up with the pace by building.
I love it. Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. Come with us if you're going to vibe code. Let us know in the chat, which brought me to my first one. I want you to share your screen. Let me know what you're thinking about. By the way, if people are seeing my screen, Trey, there are a lot of different IDs, so development environments that are popping up. This one's done by the company that owns TikTok. Yes, I know some people have different thoughts on, data and everything, but I know you're running DeepSeek right now. But the thing is, this one is a totally free IDE. So ones that are like, well, this is too expensive. Windsurf is 15, Cursor's 2. Listen, I don't know when they're going to start charging, but right now they're using the same models of Cursor to catch up, and you can use this totally free. So if I'm like, hey, I have no money, I have zero money,
Yeah.
this is the weekend to go build something. We'll look into it. And again, when we're using these coding environments are a little bit, I feel like, more things to consider than if you're going to be using like a Lovable and things like that. But just like Mr. Hackathon's talking about, keep practicing and you'll learn how to use these very quickly. One last thing, and then tell me where you want to go and talk about Perplexity. When you were talking about vibe coding, before I got on stream, I was like, you know what? The one thing about vibe coding and trying to do this on stream, I don't use music, and I would do background music on these streams, but I'm always, back in the day when I first used it, I was always getting DMCA strikes, even when I would buy royalty free. And I was like, what's better than starting with vibe coding than looking at how to create AI music for vibe coding, for
Yeah.
lo-fi, things like that. So that was a side point of, I might be working on that today
No,
for these streams.
we can probably start with that.
Okay.
I have an idea on how to approach that. A simple idea and then probably more complex idea on
I
how to.
love it. I love it. Okay. All right. So I got this right here. If you want to drive, if you want to bring up your screen, we can.
I'll go ahead and bring up my screen.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I think this is. I was like, we need music. I need my lo-fi, and I can't
Uh,
play anything.
so present.
There we go. Here you go. It's your screen now, man.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use Create. We used Base 44 yesterday. We can use Base 44 again. I'm heavily relying on Create and Base 44 just because I have pro plans for both. I use V02, I use Lovable, I use Bolt. Right now they are very similar, but I try and build a project in each of them just to see the differences, just to see where the trajectory of the platforms are going and kind of hedge my bets on being like one of the early people in one of the big platforms. But we spoke about creating some kind of background music or our own kind of stock music, and immediately said, "Hey, yeah, I think I know how I can do that. Probably have a simple way to do it, and probably have a more complicated way to do it. My simple way to do it is, hey, we're gonna generate the music using Sono, and then we're just gonna create our own player, like our own audio player. So I'm just gonna say, hey, create a music player. And I don't actually know what it's going to come up with. So we're just going to see what it's going to come up with. And whilst generating that, we're going to head over to sono.com. Have you covered sono.com before?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't.
Are you familiar with it?
I think only in passing. I don't think I have, bro.
Oh my God. Your mind is going to be blown. Your mind is going to be blown. So we need to find a good song to play to you. Let's see.
Oh, Dominic, this is
Yeah.
to get the song to play through your player. You have to do it on your main window that you're projecting. So the one on your StreamYard one, share screen that tab, and you'll be able to hear the audio.
Okay. So let's stop sharing.
Yep.
And let's present again.
And pick that tab. Mm-hmm.
And Sono.
Yep.
Okay.
Once you get that, yep, you'll share screen just for that Sono page. I am not seeing you share a screen yet, though. Oh, well, I need to bring it up. How about that? I need to do my job. I have to do my job. Okay. By the way, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you being here in the chat. Let us know what you're building. Okay, let's try it again.
Okay.
Got me enlisted, yeah. Got me so addicted, can't resist.
Okay, I can hear it. Okay.
Everything about you listed.
Can you hear that?
I can hear it now. I can hear it. Now, what is the site? First of all, before we go on, what am I looking at here?
So to me, Sono is the best AI music generator. So you can generate instrumentals too and background music, which is what we're gonna do, and it's actually what I've used it before. But as you can see, if you give it the lyrics, it will generate R&B songs. It will generate. Let's see what else we have here.
See, hold on.
Happy Valentine's Day. Will a dozen roses do?
That's crazy.
So this is AI generated. Like, this is where we are. I don't think they don't have an API, so you can't do. Sono specifically don't have an API, so I don't believe you can do it, or an official API. So I don't think you can do it programmatically. But we can just generate it here, and we're gonna store it somewhere. So let's see what I've made. I might have something interesting here. Let's see. Oh, so I have anime background music. So I have relaxing piano music. But we're gonna generate lo-fi because that's what you said you want.
Yep.
You can share the lyrics, but we don't need the lyrics, so we're just gonna hit instrumental, and we're going to say a style of music. So we might say lo-fi. We might say, I don't know, piano. In the past, I've said like music for gaming, for pixel games, and all different kinds of things. So you can see all my different experiments here just to see what it's gonna do. We're gonna call this I don't know. And just hit generate, and it's gonna generate 2 at a time. I think it generates about, I want to say 3 minutes. So here it's going to generate 2 minutes. We can extend it. We can actually get the stems. We could get the vocals from the music, and you know, if you're a producer, you can start to take parts of this, and this is what Kanye is starting to do, and you can edit it and mix it, you can extend it. Super, super interesting. So we can see here. I'm not sure what happened. So how do you feel about that?
Tell me, give me, let's see. I want more of a bass line. I like it. I want more.
Let's see if we just say bass. I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure what it's going to do if we just add bass. Or maybe we remove piano. Because I think it's the piano that's making it a little bit softer. I'll keep bass and just see what it comes out with. And you can see a generation. I don't actually know why I have 500 credits on this account, but I have 500 credits on this account. A generation takes out about 10 credits. So and actually, I need to check if I'm paying, because I might have paid a long time ago and it's still charging me.
Listen, I had to do that. You know, I'm not sure if I told you. Did I tell you I had over $400 a month on different AI ones? So my wife was like, "You got to get it together."
Yeah.
It's easy to forget, though.
No, it is. Especially when we sign up to so many different platforms.
Oh, yeah.
And I forget all the time. I hate when it asks me for my card, because then I know I'm going to forget. It's going to roll over. I'm going to forget at least 1 month.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
So let's see.
Well, Dominic, I can't hear you. What you say?
You want some drums, don't you? That's a little bit too like sleep music. Let's see.
Yeah. Maybe I'm describing it wrong.
That's a little bit.
There we go. Yeah. There we go.
You see here, you can reuse the prompt. Here we don't have a complex prompt. You can edit it. You can crop the song and do lots of like super interesting things.
I like that.
Yeah. So let's go back to create. So this is not what I wanted. And actually, we're going to run this back. So what I started to do in create specifically is what create does automatically now. It's going to automatically create a database, and it's automatically going to create functions for your database. In a tool like this, I don't actually want it to do that. So I'm just going to delete that and start again. What I forgot to do is tell it don't create the database and don't create the functions.
And right now we're only seeing Sono right now.
Oh. So I need to unshare and present again.
And then I'll bring it up to the stage. There we go.
Yeah, so what we had before, I actually deleted it. But what we had before, it just went in and took a totally different direction. So I'm going to say create a music player to play music. Don't create a database and functions. Let's say similar to Spotify. Again, I don't know what it's going to come up with. And while that's loading, what we are going to want to do is for it to play the music, I believe I have to store it somewhere. Usually I would store it in Supabase. The challenge with Supabase is they do actually, if you don't use that database, like for a period of time, they will pause it, which will basically break your application. So this is good. This is what in the direction we want. So I might try and store this in Xano, so I can just download MP3 file. So it's downloaded, and I might go to Xano. I know at least a while ago you've covered Xano. Xano is a backend database. A lot of creators are talking about Supabase right now, but Xano and Supabase for me are very, very close in functionality and what they can offer. I do really like them both.
Yes, Ms. Wonderful. Glad I caught you. Glad that you're here, man. Thank you so much for being here. Let us know what you're working on, or if you want us to catch you up what we're doing today.
Yeah.
What do you feel about Xano's pricing? Is it all right with you? Is it with your small projects you don't really have a problem with it? It's not a big deal.
With my projects, I don't really have an issue with it. Let's see. So we're gonna enter data manually.
And this is a little bit different, if you don't mind me saying. So Xano is one workspace. They have a free plan, 100,000 total records.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you doing? Like if someone's like, oh, I can't do it. 100,000 total records, guys. So when you're looking at this, and this is newer, I don't believe Xano had a free plan probably 18 months ago or so, but now they're in the expansion mode. So take advantage of it. Take a look at what they're doing. It's a great thing. Okay, keep going.
So all I'm doing is creating a music player. If we go back to this, so it looks like, I don't know. So it has an image, it has a title, and it has a.
It would be probably what was it be? A band, and then their song track. So it'd be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the format. So.
Yeah.
I'm going to create the table. So now we have a table. It's just like a spreadsheet. For those that are less familiar with backends, so when you talk about no code, there's a spectrum of backends. So you can have totally technical backends that you're going to host in AWS or Azure or Google Cloud Platform, or on the other end, you're going to have stuff like Airtable and stuff like Google Sheets. And while it's good, it's not exactly a technical backend. You're not building your Uber clone with that, although you can start to build the initial versions with it. That's not where you want to be. And I will put Zapier and Xano kind of in the middle. Great for hobbyists, great for startups, just getting going. As you can see, we initiated a table super, super easy. But if we was going to do that in AWS, it wouldn't be as easy. There's a lot of billing and different things we would have to think about. And in Xano, we are just able to get up and running really easily. And what I'm going to do here is I need to add a field. I need to add a storage. Oh, images would be. I don't want image. I want audio. So now it's telling me to upgrade. Let me think of a different way. I think the other way I can do this.
Yeah, Larry says, hey, Doc, you're doing a great job. Thanks. Larry for Kenya. Hey, Larry, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Let us know if you have any questions.
If anyone wants to see us build any project in particular, just tell them, let us know.
I was also going to think about, I see a lot of people do like, if they're YouTuber contents, they'll do channel reviews. I was thinking about doing like app reviews or something like that where people can submit, like, and it's almost like we can talk about either the breakdown of it, what we like, what we don't like about it. I'm thinking about something like that.
Yeah. Sounds good. So I don't actually know if this link would work, but we
Tell
can
us
give it.
what are you doing right here?
So anytime you have music or images or video, it has to be stored somewhere. So we want to play music here. I mean, I could potentially upload it as a video and kind of use that video from YouTube, but I need to store it somewhere. Once it's to store it in Xano, Xano is you go to storage and you can store images, videos, PDFs, and it's saying we have to upgrade. So
they're
so
saying we
that's
got to upgrade because it's not. We could do it if it was an image, but because it's a larger file or something like that now they're looking for us to try to pay.
exactly.
Okay.
We could do it in Superbase, and I've done it in Superbase before. As I mentioned, the challenge with Superbase, I might have deleted that base. The challenge with Superbase, if I can think of where I would have stored it, is, as you can see, this project's pause. But if you don't use the project, it pauses it. So sometimes I actually go back to projects and I'm like, why isn't this working? But the back end is not on.
That makes sense. What about this one? I know this might be a more advanced way, but I'm also extremely cheap. What if you did just like it's an S3 bucket, but it's in Google Cloud Platform. So we just do a storage bucket like that.
Actually, we can in Google Cloud Platform.
Yeah.
Okay, we can try.
And I know a lot of people were like, wait a minute. Yeah.
In my early hackathon days, I used to use like regular S3 buckets. I think I got my account suspended somehow. So yeah. So what do I need to do? Do I need to create a new project?
Yep. Create a new project.
Let me call this development project. Create, and it's creating. And I'm going to select that project. And then what I want to do is create storage bucket.
Yep. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, it's because they'll say, because they give so much free. You already know. Oh my goodness. Do you want me to do it on my? Well, no, then it would be tougher with the API.
I do think it can. So I have done it from use Google. Was it Drive MP3 file links? I have done stuff from the.
Oh. I wonder. Clayton is talking about doing it from Airtable or even Google Sheets for audio. I haven't done that. Huh.
Yeah, we can try from.
I like that idea. Oh, Clarity's talking about.
But
Hey,
we'll.
bye. Thanks for all that you do for the building of the world. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Definitely appreciate all that you do. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see.
We need to store this somewhere.
Yeah.
We need to.
I wonder. Let me look at this. Airtable, can you? I'm doing it right now. Can you store audio files in Airtable? I'm just using voice to text right now. Looking this up. So yes, you can store audio files in Airtable. You can do an attachment field. You can configure Airtable fields to contain attachments. Audio player, you can play audio attachments from the mini extension. Oh, okay. So really, if we do it as a column, maybe call from that. That's interesting.
Let's try.
Thank you, Clayton. Didn't really think about that. See if it works.
I like your soundboard.
Thank you. What do we got here?
So
I'm just gonna answer questions real quick.
yeah.
And then as you're doing this, so Mr. Wonderful is saying, could this be used in an application that you could load up 90-second snippets of a video that could be graded by other members? Second question. So you're asking, the first one is probably creating a platform where you're kind of voting on something. So it's just like a snippet, and then they're doing like yes, no, maybe thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And we'll go ahead and add that feature.
Oh, I love it. And second question, just what is a micro app compared to a regular app? Great question. I don't want to say it's an. Yeah, go ahead. Now, what do you think?
Let me see. So I have, and this might not work because Superbase isn't configured. So I have a lot of small apps, and if I turn this back on, let's see. So this app is very simple. It's not dressed up right now, but we can dress it up to make it look pretty and sell it in a particular way. But as it is setting up the project, what this does is you upload, if we can find an image, you upload an image of yourself. Well, it wouldn't be for me or maybe Doc, but if you're a woman, you might upload an image of yourself. You upload the wedding dress, and you hit generate, and it will kind of like show you with the wedding dress on. And this is on, so we hit generate. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with it.
Listen, you've got 10,000 programs like running. Could I, along with that, if you look at what Dominic just showed you, right? It's usually a one task type of application. It's something very focused, like PDF converter. I'm creating like something that converts a PDF to another format. So a micro app is usually one very specific task, and you're just creating several different ones, right? So if we're creating a micro application, it might just be one use, if that makes sense. I think that the semantics that you hear a lot of times, people are like, well, I'm creating a nano app, I'm creating a micro app. It's just one task. Those are the things. And one task businesses, yeah, exactly. Clayton's saying the same thing. It's the same, it's just one. Nothing fancy that we're doing, and a lot easier to manage, right? There are tons of like My First Million episodes which is a podcast which talks about different businesses. There are a lot of micro apps that make a lot of money because it also allows people to understand very quickly what you do. Yeah. You mentioned kind of familiar with Bubble and Glide. Yeah, those are also, you can do so much with those things. So great question. Great question.
So
what are you doing over there?
We are gonna try what Clayton says. So actually play it in here. We have our artist, we have our song title. I don't know. So I haven't actually used Airtable as a backend for something like this. So what I would actually do is go to Gemini or go to any AI tool and ask, like, how are we going to do this? So I said, so it's saying we can't do it.
I wonder if you're using it. Hold on one second. What if you use, let's see, let me do it. How can I use Airtable as a backend using APIs? So they're saying, what if we used it, a backend with APIs can leverage the REST API? Let's see about this. Let's see about this. We'd have to generate API keys. Then we'll have to do a get post like request going that way. So generate an API key. We can do that definitely from your account. And then we do the endpoints for that Airtable base. Take a look. I'm only ever using Airtable when I'm connecting it to Make or Zapier. So see how this goes. Let me see about this. How does that sound? Am I making any sense if I said that? So let me go into the account and see what I can do. Customer follow-up. I'm just looking at my my account right now. You know, the only thing is I've had my Airtable account probably close to like 5 years, and they've changed the pricing model so much.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm allowed and not allowed to do in this account anymore. So let's see. Okay, so I'm creating an Airtable account in base. Then we go to account settings and do the APIs. Okay. So then it says the APIs were deprecated by the end of January 2024. To this date, API keys will stop working and you'll have to migrate to personal access tokens. I totally forgot they did that.
You know, and the interesting thing about what we're trying to do, right? This has taken me, or it's taken us, I don't know, a long time for me to make something super simple. And I'm like, hey, I could have just done this in Softer or Glide, like super easily.
Yeah.
Or Fluff.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's not bad. You could do it in Softer pretty quickly.
Yeah. So maybe let's just. I wanted to do some vibe coding, but
why don't you keep doing vibe coding, and I'll knock it out in Softer real quick.
Okay.
Do that. You go into vibe coding. I'm gonna see what I can do in Softer real quick.
Does the chat have any ideas of stuff they want to see built?
You've got a whole list. Go with what you're doing. We can always see what I'm gonna put it real quick. Let me do it in
for anybody
Softer.
watching, I basically made a random project generator just for like making random projects. So I go ahead and hit new and not making anything in IoT, travel tech, voice audio, C2C. Okay, that's interesting. We'll go ahead, generate problems and find some problems to solve in the travel tech industry. Let's see.
What is wrong with
It's saying problems to solve data security and privacy concerns, market saturation and platform fragmentation. It's talking about trust and safety concerns. But I have had an idea for a long time that could be super interesting. So let me explore this idea. You might have to hear me out, Doc. So this is a medical tourism directory. So what we're going to do, I don't know what to call it.
And my understanding, medical tourism, kind of like if I go to Turkey to get like hair plugs, stuff like that.
Hair transplants, or when BBLs were big. But those are like the popular culture stuff of what's really big. You have like people with critical conditions, especially in the US, that it costs so much in the US, they might go to neighboring countries to actually get their treatment. And actually that it comes with many different challenges, not just knowing how to navigate that country, but also like the safety of the clinics, the doctors, reviews, stuff like that. So I think it could be super interesting to have like a medical tourism platform that's actually providing transparent advice around it. What do you think?
I like it. I like it. I'm interested to see more because I have some thoughts on it.
Okay.
I have some thoughts on it, but I think this is good. I think this is good.
So I'm first going to start with a directory. We maybe can build from there. Is going to call it Meditours, this random name, a medical tourism directory to improve safety for medical tourists. So I'm just gonna give it that and just see what it comes up with. And this is the point of vibe coding. I don't have no plan. I don't have no product require. Oh, I don't want it to make a database for now.
Listen, wait. By the way, just real quick. Remember we were talking about Sono. I totally forgot. I just looked at my text messages. I told someone about this. One of my friends, December 5th, about Sono. I just have to show you this real quick. I'm sorry. I'm going to go right back. But to show you what happened, I looked at his Facebook. He did a fake song. He did a music video of the fake song. Yeah. And he got $65,000. $65,000. He got 65,000 views of him lip syncing the song.
I was gonna say, what? $65,000? Let's do a bunch of fake songs now.
And he did the whole thing. I totally forgot. He's like, this is magical. Totally forgot that he did this. So yeah. Sorry about that.
We can definitely come back to once we figure out that
I'm looking at it.
Once we figure it out, we can definitely come back to that. And maybe it's planning it out now. And maybe there's something there. Hey, we make a fake song. Hey, we try and use Pika Labs or Runway ML to make a music video with that fake song. So
that'd be funny. I like that. He did the song about his hometown, and it just went crazy. I totally forgot about that. I was like, I never had a use for it. Let's see. Alex is also saying, "Can you see this chat?" We can, Alex. Great to see you. Also, Clayton mentioned, which is a very good idea. I like this too. Scan a barcode and it tells you what ingredients are bad in it, like soap, cleaners, etc. I think what would that be with an OCR, pretty much?
Yeah,
that's you would need it with that one.
Yeah.
I like
so
that.
we asked it to create. We actually didn't ask it to create anything. We just gave it the description of this medical tourism site, and it's basically made a website. So it hasn't actually made the directory. But if we go ahead and I'm going to name this page just home. If we go ahead and create a new page. So to create a new page, you just use /pages, create a new page. And I'm going to say create the directory page with categories and lists of clinics. Let's just say list of clinics for now, and we can work through it.
Let's do it.
Did you figure out the Airtable connection? We could just store it in
The simple answer is no. I am working on it as we talk about it. I totally forgot that happened with the new changes with their API, which kind of makes sense, but it's annoying.
Yeah.
I'm muting myself. I'm just going back and forth real quick. Is that your old project you were talking about? What are you doing over here?
Yeah, it's loading now, so the database must be back active. It's
So would you
loading.
use it? What are you using for that one? Was that done with Create or no?
Yeah, so no, V0 by Vassell did this one.
And then you connected. Can you see when you're in V0 what you're connecting your database to, like easily or not really?
Yeah. So V0 is good too. It's just I hit my project limit with V0. Oh, my free project limit with V0. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not actually sure what is going on here. So, and this is a problem we're having the so many projects, you know. Failed to load clinics. What I'm going to say is, it says all countries. What I'm going to say is show static data. So right now it's failing to load clinics because actually we haven't connected it to no database. So I'm going to say show static data of clinics.
Do this real quick.
I think there's a good point here on like this process we've gone through for the last 30 minutes. It's like knowing the right tool for the job, and you want to use the easiest tool for the job. Even though like my intention today was like vibe coding, if it was a client that came to my door and they said, hey, I want to create a custom music player, I probably wouldn't have vibe code my way to a custom music player. I probably would have just used Glide or Flutterflow or Softer to do that.
Hold on real quick. Alex is hitting me up in his DMs about what is my stream about. It's about building in real time. I'm not sure.
So
Maybe this is the first time you've ever seen this.
The real time, all the errors, failure to load clip. You're seeing no highlight. This is not the LeBron James highlights. This is like the real game.
Yeah. So a lot of people show you, hey, I just made $10,000 doing this, but they don't show you jack about what you're doing, what you're not doing.
Yeah.
Welcome. He used expletives of what the F am I doing on my stream. This is just building in real time.
Yeah.
So welcome, Alex. But this is about showing all the different tools, what we do. If you're watching on YouTube or watching on X, just go to the YouTube channel with the actual videos that are a lot more concise and built. But this is live building. This is what we do. Yeah.
So I'm going to make a note because I do want to come back to these a little bit later. So I don't want to add a database because that's just going to extend how long this build is going to be. So can we revisit Sono?
Let's do it.
Let's make some
Greetings
music.
from Sweden. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, wow. You got viewers all over the world.
That's crazy. That's crazy. We appreciate everyone being here.
If anyone hasn't come across this already, this is Sono. To me, the best music, or one of the best music makers. If maybe I log in my other account because I have more interesting music on that account. And Doc, maybe we should try and make a viral hit song.
Let's do it.
So the responsibility I'm going to give you is for the lyrics.
Oh, crap.
What type of song do we want to make? Do we want to make jazz if we play?
Let's do
let me present, share screen, Sonar.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna invite this guy up if he wants to be roasted on his project. I'm gonna give him the link real quick. Hold on one second.
And I think we can do something interesting too on a roast. I think we can. Have you used let's see, the real-time stream real-time by Gemini?
I haven't.
Okay, we can take a look at that.
So
it'll be very interesting.
In between talking to different ones, switching channels, I was just going into Software and I just said, build me a media player for my account. And so I just did that. And then I was going to hook up Google Sheets. Clayton, thank you so much for that idea. And then I was just going to drop the audio in. So that was kind of what I was doing. That took me about, as Mr. Hackathon was talking, we just had this, but that was what was going on.
Oh, okay. So we took a look at
questions about different IDEs or no code. You can come up on the stage as well. Sorry, I'm doing voice to text.
No. We took a look at Sonar. We tried making a music player. That's where we started. Doing some other vibe coding stuff. We're gonna revisit the music again.
Sitting back thinking of you, awake all night. Maybe I'm out of my mind, but I don't think I want to lose this high.
I kind of like that.
Take it.
Yeah. What kind of song do we want to make?
He says, why can't I use profanity? Because you get demonetized. I'm not putting him on stage. I cannot explain to people why can't they use profanity on this stream. I do not know why people. Hold on a second. Keep going with it. I love what he says. I love what he says. Wait. Dominic, let's just do this real quick. I love things like this. I'm putting it up right here in the chat. He says, I don't see you building anything, sir. Okay. Let's do 15 minutes to destroy this real quick. I'm putting a timer on the chat. Hold on. I get so annoyed, but I shouldn't be annoyed by things like that. Hold on a second. I am working on patience, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at this real quick. We're going to do this. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Real quick.
What does he want us to build?
Let's do this.
We're going on Lovable? Okay.
Hold on one second. I'm on Lovable.
Have I lost you? Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. I was doing a group text app to tell them what to do. So we got Alex. You made it on the stage. Welcome. How are we doing? Alex, can you hear us?
Yeah, what's up? Can you hear me?
I got you. Welcome to the show. This is Side Project Saturdays, where we can roast your project or you can ask any question. So we are having Lovable right here. You can ask questions, or what project do you want to try to build real quick? We have 15 minutes on the timer. And so where would you like to begin?
I'm sorry, you cut out. What was that?
Do you want us to build a project real quick, or do you have no code questions? What would you like to start with?
Yes to all of that.
Okay. What project do you want to try to build? What is your idea?
Are there any constraints, or do you want any idea to build?
So there are a couple things we cannot do. Anything to deal with gambling or anything to do with pornography, that is off the table. Anything illegal, we cannot build on stream. Those are pretty much the
It's funny that you said
constraints.
on stream too. We can't do it on stream, but
yeah, we're not having that. So we can go with one basic problem that you're trying to solve, or one kind of application you're trying to build. What do you got?
I've got a very painful problem that I think is basic.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
I have observed that a lot of people say a lot without communicating anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I find myself reading paragraphs that either one are communicating absolutely nothing, or two are communicating very little while using many words.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So are you asking for, when you're getting text or you're reading something, for it to summarize and make it just to the point?
There's a difference between summarization and compression. Do you know what the difference is?
Let me ask you, could you tell me the definition of what you think it is?
Sure. Have you ever used those online meeting notes apps?
Correct.
You know how they make a summary?
I've seen it.
Have you ever read that summary and thought, fuck, this actually doesn't say anything?
What did Alex, I told you how many times not to swear on stream. How many times did we go through this?
I have Tourette's. Please forgive me. It was an accident.
I was in line with it. I don't think so, really. But we've got one more, and then we got to kick you off. So continue.
Okay, I'll be my best behavior.
Thank you. Continue.
What would you like me to continue?
With your thoughts about compression and summarization.
I think I've said everything that needs to be said.
So what do you want your application to do for you? What is the inputs, and then what do you want the outputs to be? So you want to take what actions first, and then what do you want it to do at the end? How do you want it to display? All of those kind of things.
The action I want to take is installing this app, and then the output needs to be everything on my screen that's not communication gets replaced with communication. So any paragraphs that say nothing are essentially removed.
Okay. So if we're looking at this from I'll let you go, Dominic. Alex, we're going to put you right here. We'll bring you back on stage in a second. This is wonderful. Real quick, Mr. Hackathon, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think I understand. So with compression, at least from what I just Googled, with summarization, you can lose information. With compression, you might not lose information. It's just all the fluff is removed. So let's create something. I called it Ramble Translator, or maybe Fluff Remover. And what we're going to do is, for now, we're going to stick with text. The input is going to be, I don't know, the tweet. You just copy and paste the tweet where people are rambling, especially the guys with premium accounts. Sometimes they just go on and on. Put it in, translate it. We're going to tell the AI, hey, compress this, but keep all the core information. And then we're going to have the output.
Okay.
So let us know if I'm thinking what you're thinking.
Can you hear me?
We got you now, Alex.
Oh, awesome. Sorry, I was just trying to jump in there. If you heard what I said several seconds ago, you would have heard that I never said anything about the input being text. The input is not text. The input is a screenshot.
That's fine. It's all the same. Like, it's the same. That's not an
Okay,
issue.
so okay, cool.
All right, cool. So what we're going to do, Alex, real quick, is there anything else before we're going to switch over for Dominic to start building?
I just want to make crystal clear that we're on the same page about what I'm saying. I'm saying I install this app and I don't do anything. It changes what's on my screen to remove paragraphs that say nothing, convert any paragraphs that say something into a concise representation of what they actually say, and that's all. That's all it does. And
So
I don't do
there's-
anything. It
yeah.
happens in real time, automatically. I don't do anything.
Yeah, so what you're going to need to do is first, this is going to be in several different steps because you're going to have to do an extension. You're going to then have to test and iterate. So
Sorry, what do you mean extension and iterate? What are you talking about?
Two things. Have you ever had a Chrome extension? Do you know what a Chrome extension is?
Excuse me, sir, did you look at my Twitter profile?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Do you know what Y Combinator is?
Alex, I think I know what it is, but because you're here on this show to help other people, we're going to make it real simple for you. So I don't know anything about you. You DM'd me and then said, can you see this? Done
Yes.
little research, anything. So let's back this up for a second. We're assuming from zero, I know nothing about you and I have no idea who you are.
Okay, let me tell you one thing. I've been coding for 25 years.
Why? Oh, that's great.
And I know
Thank
the
you.
founders of Zapier, Retool,
Excellent.
etc.
Keep it going. Keep it going. So you're here first. Why?
I'm here to watch you build something. We're using no code.
Okay. All right, great. So let me ask you this. With all of your infinite wisdom and connections, don't come into a stream and try to condescend anyone here. Because
when
you
did
can
I
say all
condescend
yours.
you?
No,
When
no,
did I
no.
condescend you?
No, Alex. This is, first of all, I asked you a couple things. First of all, I said, don't swear on the show. Don't do any of those things. And then you went right ahead and did it. We had
What
a
thing?
conversation.
The only thing I did that you said is swear, and it was an accident, and I apologize. And you said it's okay.
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start this one step at a time. When we're jumping in, we'll bring you back on stage as we're building. Is that cool with you?
Why are you asking me, bro? Just keep me off the stage.
Dominic, keep it going.
So we're gonna build a Fluff translator, and it's going to take a screenshot and compress that and produce some kind of output. Now, if we wanted it real time, it would have to be a Chrome extension that is adjusting your web page kind of as you're on the web page. But for now, we're gonna do step one, and I don't think anyone can see my screen, so I'm just gonna go to share screen. Can my screen be seen?
There we go.
Okay. So Fluff Translator, a web app that takes a screenshot and compresses the text to reduce. I'm not sure if I'm spelling this right. Worldliness. I am not spelling that right at all. Is that even a word? Okay. And redundancy. Use. So we might have, let's see here. We might not need to create a function. So a function, when it comes to create, a function is a way to integrate third-party APIs and services. So you can add image generation. Add image generation. There was something here. Vision. So we're going to use GPT-4 Vision to extract the text from the image. And I'm going to say use, let's just say use ChatGPT. To produce the output. And we're going to say one more thing, use Markdown render to render the output. So how we're looking so far?
I think it looks good for what we're doing. Alex is saying in the chat, input and outputs are both screenshots.
I'm not sure about the output. And I'm not even sure why you would want the output to be a screenshot. I can see why you'd want the input to be a screenshot, not necessarily the output.
Keep going, man. You're doing good.
Yeah.
As you're doing that, Mr. Wonderful is saying in the chat, a couple of dumb questions. Question one, on these text-to-app builds, do you have to request it to make a dashboard or a backend to make changes? I would say it kind of depends on which one you're using. Some are going to be more intuitive and start suggesting what to build in all of those things. Others will not. So it kind of depends on that. But some will have to be explicit and you just say, please build me a dashboard or the assumption of to do X, Y, and Z. So that's great. The second one, can you tell it, can you tell it to make a database or do you have to pick a database? Again, if you're using something like Replit, it's going to already suggest what you're doing or what you should use. So I would say it kind of depends on what platform that you plan on using, Mr. Wonderful. Dominic, anything that you're thinking about or anything that I missed on those?
No, I think you covered everything. Here, with the latest update with Create, typically 9 times out of 10, it's going to create a database by default. A lot of them won't create a database by default because actually they don't have databases native. So currently, I don't believe Bolt and Lovable have databases native. You have to integrate it with Supabase or integrate it with whatever you want to integrate it with. I'm trying to think about others. Base 44 has a database native, but you have to also bear in mind a lot of these text to app creators, their bread and butter isn't databases. So you probably would want to connect to a Supabase or cloud platform or Azure or somewhere that their bread and butter is actually a database.
Makes sense. All right. How are we doing? Where are we at right now?
So we've created initial. So you can see here, it has the original image. It has the original text. It has the simplified text. I want us to try and find, and maybe if Alex is his name, can find us a tweet or screenshot that's really wordy that we want to compress. I was trying to scroll and look for one, but I can't really find any. I do come across some, especially people with premium accounts that they write a lot. Maybe something like this, but this is an ad, so maybe I can take this one.
Yeah, saying just a random screenshot.
So I might take this. And we can also see there, before I upload this latest screenshot, we can see, hey, this is going outside the bounds of what we want. And I'm just going to say, hey, keep all the text inside the container for the extracted text section. And that should fix it. Might not fix it, but
So the thing is, Alex is asking in the private DM, why would you do cropping first? There's two different things. I'd probably first get it to do one thing functionally first for it to make sure that everything's working. If I'm working on those different things, then I would make sure that the parameters I'm looking for as a screenshot is working correctly. Then from there, I would build out if I'm doing full screen or anything like that. And if it's going to be a browser, then I'm going to be doing more things with a Chrome extension where I can be changing dynamically what's on the entire page. But I'd probably start with first one image, make sure that it's doing what I want correctly, and then being able to go from there.
It's saying, sorry, it can't assist. So there must be something in this that is a bit weird. One of the reasons I cropped it is because actually, if I take a whole screenshot, it doesn't actually know what I want compressed. Really, I just want this tweet compressed. So I want a screenshot of this tweet. You said a screenshot. I could have taken the URL of the tweet, but you wanted a screenshot. Again, like send me a tweet that you're like, hey, this is something we want compressed.
So Alex is saying in the chat, he's like, I want it outside the browser, and it's not working because your approach is flawed. I would push back on that. I think, first of all, solving a problem in testing and seeing what's working or seeing what's not working first in a smaller way, and then breaking it down later on, I don't really see that being a problem at all.
And he wants it outside the browser. Outside the browser to do what? So we can see here, we fixed it being outside the container. It's successfully extracted the text, and it has simplified the text. Well, it's saying simplified text, but really we told it to compress it. So it's saying, hey, people are discussing whether it's right or wrong. And it's basically giving us the same thing.
Real quick. No, it hasn't been 15 minutes. I've got a timer right there. Don't worry. We're good. We're good, Alex.
We're good. So we have the Fluff translator. So Alex said he wants it outside the browser. And what does outside the browser mean? Like on regular desktop? I know he mentioned an app.
Alex, we're going to bring you on the stage, but we're going to have to do this systematically as we're talking. Is that cool? Okay, let's bring it up.
What we've just done, we've created a web app using Create, which is a text-to-app platform. We have added functionality to upload a screenshot. It's added URL here. We can remove that. And what it's doing is taking the text from here, basically extracting the text. It's actually showing the text extracted here. And then it's simplifying this. Now you can almost see the issue just in this image. Really, what we want I say simplify, but what we want compressed is this post right here. But because it's a screenshot, it's taken everything in the screenshot. So here you can see what is extracted is this commentary in this post here, the original post. And so it's taken all of that and compressing that. What we actually just want is this compressed, which is why maybe a screenshot, maybe not my angle. Maybe I would go for the actual post URL where I can get the content of that post, like the actual main content of that post. But I don't actually think this is a bad thing. Like I think the way this is, it works. Well, I think it works for the intended output.
Okay. Dominic, do you want him back on stage, or do you think it's worth it, or no?
I mean, he can write any challenges. Just tell him to comment in the chat.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alex, for being here for a moment and seeing this. We're going to remove you from the studio, but thank you so much.
Are there any other project ideas people have? Any other areas of interest? I know I have my random project generator. I'm not sure if anyone.
By the way, 4 minutes. So that was done in about 10. So, very funny, very interesting.
So yeah, and again, you have to understand the tools for the job. So if we wanted to change this in real time, we would probably use a Chrome extension. Well, that's probably the way I would go about it, Doc, is using a Chrome extension or building a Chrome extension. We could have it as a mobile app. What I always think about, and when I'm speaking to clients too, is a mobile app is great, but you also have to go through that process of going through the App Store or going through the Google Play Store, which is a whole process in itself. App Store marketing and marketing your mobile app. I do think it's a little bit easier to market your web app, especially if you have a smaller budget, but also it depends on the functionalities of what you're actually trying to build. So some apps and some projects require the functions that a phone has native to the phone. Let's just say if you're traveling, GPS, and like that constant GPS. If you're creating something related to maps or anything like that. Now, there's always ways around stuff, but I highly recommend like the right tool for the job, for your output and what you want to achieve.
I love it. All right. So, Dominic, how much time do you have? Do you still have time to build? How are you feeling?
No, I have time. I know I'm a couple hours ahead of you, but I had time. My plan tonight was just to build until I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go sleep now.
Let's keep going for a little bit. Let's keep going. I've got. Do you want to keep sharing your screen as you're keep going where you want to go? Keep going where you're gonna go.
So yeah, I was just gonna build random stuff. So we got
keep
fintech, vision, B2C.
You want a new idea, or you're gonna keep going with the medical going?
A new idea. New idea. You know me, I drop ideas like anything. Because I know another one's gonna come. So
yeah.
So there is actually something I did come across. I haven't figured out how to use it effectively yet. Vision. Have you come across Vision Agent?
No.
So Vision Agent is, I guess, like a agentic vision model. And if I show you, let's go to my projects. And this actually isn't my project. This is one of the sample projects. But it generates the prompt is, can you track, if I show the video. So this is the video. You can see the shark there, and you can see the people.
Yeah.
And can you track both people and sharks in the video? Say the video would track masks, but draw the distance line between the shark and the closest person with the distance. And what it's actually doing here, or what it's actually done, is understanding the objects, and not just understanding the objects, but understanding the distance between the objects too. So you can see how close the shark is to person 6.
Interesting.
And the AI to even do that, the AI agent has to do a lot of really, really interesting things. You can think here, it has to understand this is a shark, this is a person. It has to understand frame by frame. It has to be able to calculate the distance between the shark and the nearest person. And it's doing that on a frame by frame basis. Then it's outputting a video of that. So what this company or what this team are doing are really innovating in the vision model space, and they provide you the code to actually be able to do this too. And maybe there's something interesting in this. And bear in mind, everybody, I haven't built anything around this yet. I find it super interesting. Maybe there's something here. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I like that. So would it be something in, say, for instance, could this be something with security or something like that if you're using this as a security company, just tracking different data, everything like
Yeah.
that with
Yeah.
different subjects?
They do have a couple other models. One is for like counting. The example they have here is like counting soda cans, like inventory tracking. One they have here is like room and style categorization. So this is what I do, guys. So jumped on the stream vibe coding. I usually start with their example projects. You can see here, my first thing was their example project, and then I try to extrapolate the use case from there. So I might have, I don't know, Bloomberg financial APIs. I basically copy their project and say, okay, like, can I tweak a couple things? Like, I've kept the same core project, but can I tweak a couple things? And then I'm like, oh, okay, I think I understand this now. Can I extrapolate the use case? And I try and get more creative and push the bounds. And that's actually how I learn. And that's how I recommend other people to learn. Like, hey, don't typically start with your use case. Kind of start with the use cases they outlined, and kind of build from there.
I love that. I love it. So keep going with this. So how would we use this?
I would like us to, let's see, agentic object detection. And this actually takes a couple minutes to load, so I don't know what it's going to do. But I think there is something here in this one. Maybe there's another wildlife use case. So maybe it's, and what I'm going to do is just give it to Gemini. And I'm going to say, give me other use cases for this. Oh. So I am going to wait and try and, okay, other use cases. Wildlife monitoring, track the distance between lions and Taurus. Sports analytics, measure the distance between the basketball player and the defender. I think that would be
interesting. Especially with NBA All-Star Weekend. Let's do that.
We need footage. Let's say drone footage of NBA. Maybe this could be good. The NBA has a drone camera.
Well, that's awesome.
This is a good angle. I think this is a very good angle. How am I gonna get this? So what I would
downloading the video then?
Yeah. Don't recommend using these.
Yeah. But
look,
this goes
already downloading something to my
computer. My goodness, you've got to stop. That's why I just have my own thing. But this kind of goes back to was it Mr. Wonderful talking about like a micro app downloading YouTube videos is a micro app, right? So going through there, having just a downloader on a website, something like that, that's a great one thing, one
Please,
task,
without
one
the
thing to do.
viruses.
Without the viruses. Without the viruses. That could be the whole SEO or the whole marketing play.
Yeah.
Of like, this is why you should use mine over someone else.
Yeah. Charge me. I don't know how much it costs to run, but charge me $1. You know, I'll pay $1.
Hold on. I
think it is downloading. Oh, yeah, I think it's downloading. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to download this and I'm going to clip this for a couple of seconds. And
if I was doing it in a way that I wanted to actually have something to not have all of the ads and everything, I'd probably I have just iTube Go that I paid for. And then that kind of cuts out because I did do those websites for so long. Dominic, do you want me to download it first?
Yeah, it might be easier because I'm like, it's not even giving me.
And then you want me to just have it like as a Google Drive link?
I think you did download it actually.
You did it like 5 times, I see.
Yeah, I thought it was downloading other stuff. So, and what I'm gonna do is use CapCut to cut this. So this is a 40-second video, but I want to cut this to about 10 seconds just because the sample video they're using is about 10 seconds. So I am going to cut this. Right there. Don't mind me speed running through.
No worries.
Yes. So we got our video. I do like this footage, and we're gonna test this. So I am gonna adapt this prompt, and I'm going to say, can you track the basketball in this video? Ask of the ball. And draw a line between the basketball and the basket. With the distance above it. Track the map of both the ball and the basket. So I don't know how well this is going to do. And we delete this and desktop. I called it MBA video. And it's uploading. So this might actually take maybe a minute or two once I hit send. Once it uploads and I hit send. Is there anything you want to showcase in the meantime?
Let's take a look at this. So real quick, I was actually what you were just talking about for introducing Perplexity. I was looking into that. That was something that I have to do more research on. I guess this happened yesterday. Can you tell me about what's happening with this?
Yeah, if I just get this initiated and kicked off while...
Oh, well, I can keep talking. As you're doing this, I can talk about what my other thing. So one thing that I was looking at, and this was in a stream that we were doing yesterday, actually was talking about 2 things. So we were talking about building out directories. And the reason we've been doing back and forth with directories for these different ones was The main thing happened with this section right here was when we're looking at different things going on with Lovable and what we're using right here, we were talking about building out a directory that would be right for you. And now the reason why we were doing this was, let me bring this up for a second. Directory here. Let me bring this up for a second. YouTube. And then I'm going to have this one right here for a moment. Let's see, Greg. Hold on one second. One moment for this one, and then we're going to go with Greg. One moment right here. Oh, James, give me a second. Give me 1 second here. This one was, hold on 1 second, James's channel. Hold on 1 second, guys. Greg. Cursor, there we go. Okay. So this one was we're talking about different directories, what we could do. Right. So in the last few episodes, we were talking about, okay, if we're trying to build out different directories, what's going on here? What would be the best thing? Then we were going to actually look at, let's see. Hold on. Let me ask you this, Dominic, before I keep going, because Alex decided to come back, do you want me to address his side comments? Do you think that's anything productive or no?
I don't think it's productive. You have other people in the chat, so that's okay. Let's just focus on building and focus on the other people in the chat.
Okay, no worries. So this is what we're going to do. If it's not going to be beneficial, what we're going to do is we're going to first ban the guest, and then we're going to have to come back. So if that, we can do it. We can kick him. He can just keep staying right here and doing private messages if you're okay with that, or we can just restart and go from there. What would you like, Dominic? You can just stay here and he just won't be unmuted.
I mean, he can just, I'm not even, I only just looked at the private chat now. I didn't even.
I didn't even see it. What would you like to do?
As long as it's not disrupting other people.
Okay, cool. Then we'll just keep going then. Okay. So the reason with this one is we were talking about two different ideas. One talking about the directory right here. And let me put in directory. This is how we had it. Let me put this here. And we'll have this episode. Let's see about this. Access, ads, boring marketing. Where is this one? Hold on 1 second. We're talking about, where is James's information? Unicorn. There we go. Hold on 1 second. Unicorn platform. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So this one was brought up with John Rush and talking about creating a directory. Now with this episode, and the reason we were talking about this was there are a lot of different types of directories that you can do as side hustles and are making a lot of money. Now, the thing is, it's not just wishful thinking or we're talking about, hey, this is an outlier. Depending on your demographic, there can be a lot of different directories that you can do. For example, if you're looking at CyberLeads is a directory where you're getting different companies that are raising money and you can see how much they made, and then you can reach out to actually work with them, right? So a directory, a very curated directory for what you're looking to do. So with that, this is a really good use case if you're a business owner where you're helping and there's a specific use case, you could be charging for a directory. The other example is we had a past client that was doing a directory where they brought in all of the documentation to bid on civil engineering projects in a specific county. And they charged actually $99 a month to do this. So these are great examples of what you're going through or different ways that you can go about actually coming up with a need and then being able to build it. That being the case, an example of this with Lovable, and we were talking about this right here, was creating a directory with the same exact thing. So for example, if I am a directory where you can shop for out of stock IKEA items, or you can create a directory for whatever the thing is, this was a great idea using for Lovable or text applications that are very specific like that. So does that make sense, Dominic? Does what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're showing to show how to do it is with Lovable, you can go out and say, I'm trying to create a directory, and the directory is how to have profitable side hustles, and I want to start showing the directory of different opportunities you can do right now. So you can have this right here, and this is when we had Talisha was on the other day, yesterday, and using her Chrome extension, right here we can look at the plan. So we can use this, click plan, improve your prompt, so it's doing these things. And then you're having an overview right here. So this really speeds up, and this is creating a PRD, so this allows me to go a lot quicker with my ideas and all of those things. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. If you have questions, okay. Then we're going to start with the implementation. And then we're going to click public. And we'll dismiss this in a second. And it's going to start building right here. So that's one example when you're going through this, testing out these different ideas, just like what Dominic was talking about earlier, going one step at a time as you're going through this. Okay, back to you. What's going on with you building and using everything with the basketball players? How's it going?
So it's still loading.
Okay, no worries.
Let's see if you can see my screen.
Let me switch over to your screen.
Oh. I think I did something.
No worries.
Again, so a lot of these technologies, emerging technologies, experimental technologies, this is loading, so you can see how long it's loading. Remember when I mentioned about the sharks, and it's using lots of different AI tools to be able to see the objects, to calculate the distance, to produce a video, and these are agentic workflows. This is what we're going to see more and more. Rather than just talking to ChatGPT or talking to Claude, you're actually going to give it a request, and it's going to use lots of different agents to do stuff. And this is what Operator from OpenAI is about. You'll say, hey, book me a table at so-and-so. And now it needs to go and search. It needs to go and find open times. It needs to book. There's lots of different actions that need to be taken. And these are agentic workflows. And actually, this is what this Vision agent is doing. That's why it's not as quick as just getting a message back, because it's doing lots of different actions, just like a person would do lots of different actions. And this is what the space we're moving into with AI, talking about agents and how AI assistants are working together to get an action done. And you'll see here, it's still processing. So we are going to wait for these agents to come back and process. But maybe in the meantime, Doc, and because my credits are reset, this is a great time to be able to do this. I mentioned about Perplexity. So Perplexity, for me, is the new gen Google. Perplexity, and if I actually open another tab, and I say, hey, who's playing in the All-Star game? NBA. And what we are, oh no, I don't want deep research. Stop. I don't want you to do that. I might have wasted a search, but we can see who's playing in the NBA All-Star game. And you see Google's starting to do this now, but it produces the answer for you. But you can see the sources here. So a lot of the tools have followed Perplexity's lead in this, in providing the sources and not just the answer. So now you can verify it, which is also why I say it's kind of the new gen Google. They recently released like a financial dashboard, if we can find that. So they recently released a financial dashboard, kind of like Yahoo Finance. It reminds me very much of Yahoo Finance, but it's using AI to generate a lot of this. Again, referencing the sources. One of the Perplexity's big thing is referencing the sources and not just giving you an answer or not just giving you summaries, but also giving you sources for that. You can see 8 sources here. Click on that, see the sources. Great for people that actually want to verify the information. There's a lot of consumers in AI or users in AI that just want the answers, but there's a collection of people that want to go a step further and actually verify the sources and reduce hallucinations. And so Perplexity is leading in that space, and it does have slight competitors. You can argue OpenAI is a competitor and Gemini is a competitor, but really they're crafting their own lane. When we talk about deep research, they released a tool. If I show you an example, I asked about France's international policy and it produced an in-depth report. So you can get it to write reports and research reports, really interesting stuff. Again, referencing the sources, because that's Perplexity's big thing. Super interesting. And if I scroll, here I have the report as a PDF, and it's about the inefficient government spending in technological innovation in UK science. And it's pulling tables and analyzing data from different sources. Again, an agentic workflow, because it has to go find websites. First, it has to plan what it's going to do. It has to go and find websites. It has to scrape information from the websites. It has to bring that back. It has to summarize it. It has to reason and think about the patterns and connections. There's lots of things going on there. It's not just like a question and answer. There's lots of background thing going on, just like you would have a research team. So Doc, while our vision agent is still loading, is there something we want to research? So we might say, do a deep dive into what area? Is there an area? Hello? I don't think I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. What about now? I'm thinking about a few different areas. Should we do just what I'm randomly thinking about, or a business case? What would be the best use of it?
What would be a good use for the audience?
I think it's one of those things we've talked about on a number of these streams, but yeah. I think the best use case would be either a lot of people in the audience are either entrepreneurs where they have a really good skill, but they're looking to either be more they're looking either to find leads for their skill or iterate on their current skill, how can they turn that into a product or service? Those are the two biggest things.
Let's choose. Is there a industry or profession we want to choose to work with? Do a deep dive into.
I see two different things. A lot of times we see ones that have a marketing background, so they have been working at an agency and now they want to go create their own, or they have a skill like graphic design or web design, and they're thinking to how do they build out from there. Oh, I like this. Clayton's talking about take a skill and turn it into a digital product. I like that.
We can do that. Productized services. How I've been using research is mainly for writing reports and writing like research papers.
Ooh.
So I might say do a deep research into the web design industry in North Carolina. I might not say
wait. I got something. And I'll take it exactly what Clayton was saying, if you don't mind. So take the skill of vibe coding. I want to break that down even more. I want to take the skill of demonstrating your skills with live streaming. Because if you're looking for, and this is an example, if you're looking at Ray as the entrepreneur, if you're looking at or make a wood sign, if you're looking at different ones that are doing or showcasing their skills live streaming and then using that as the foreground to create products for their audience, I would take that. Is that okay? So you're showcasing your skills live streaming. How do you turn that into a digital product? Is that okay, Dominic?
We'll give it to deep research and see what it says. The use cases that I've usually used it for are like we see here, the impact of government spending. I did one on French international policy. I did one on research theoretical research frameworks in AI. So that's how I've used deep research, like literally like having a research assistant research like highly technical topics. But we're going to give it that and just see what it comes out with. Do a deep dive into the live streaming industry. List all the papers and sources you find. Study the patterns and make recommendations on how creators are successful. And this shouldn't take as long as Vision Agent, and actually Vision Agent is finished. So I guess, and let me know if jumping back and forth is too much. It's kind of how I work, but I'm not sure if it's easy to follow for people.
I think it's beneficial to see all the different things that we're doing and going back and forth. I don't see it being a problem.
So look, D words, you can actually see it thinking. So it says, I need to search the web for this. And it's saying, hey, the previous search was valuable. So this is its reasoning, this is its thinking, and this is where AI is in its evolution. So this is the output for Vision Agent. We haven't used the API yet. And we're just going to see whether, and again, this is a relatively newish model. So we're going to see, hey, is this working? We basically asked it to track the distance between the ball and the basket in the video. So it's tracking the basket. It's not actually tracking the ball. So this is not working at all. And it's not drawing the distance between the basket and the ball.
Is it because it's so many different people there, or do you need to describe it more of what you're trying to do?
I actually think it is an edge. I wouldn't say an edge use case. To give you another example, I have used boxer tracking, and I wanted it to track the punches, or like what type of punches, and I wanted to track the distance. So it tracked the distance, but it wasn't tracking the punches. You can actually see here that it's tracking 3 boxers. Sorry. And at some point, it actually says there's a 4th boxer. Yeah, here. It says there's a 4th boxer. This is wrong. But again, these models are very early in their stages, the vision model. So I don't know.
What was that site? What that you're using?
It's called, let's see, va.landing.ai. So the team behind it is a very, very good team, and they're going to produce amazing things. We're just on the cutting edge of like seeing a lot of these tools.
It's va. What?
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
And so we are back with Perplexity, and we basically said, hey, do a deep dive into the live streaming industry. And it's basically talking about the evolution, trends, strategic frameworks of the live streaming industry. And it's doing a comparative analysis. So you can kind of get an idea, and this, you can kind of get an idea like of where deep research is going. It's not just like answering your question. It's like a little bit more technical, like from like almost a research standpoint. Does that make sense?
So, I mean, I wonder about this though. We have all the data from, I just think about like the no code AI reports for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I would love to see if we could drop that content in to see if it could understand how people are making money or like different opportunities from it.
No.
And what about things like that?
Yep. So we can do that. So we just take a look at this first. The evolution, trends, and strategic frameworks. It's looking at academic foundations and theoretical frameworks and methodologies, citing the sources, looking at platform evolution, quantitative drivers of success, so stream duration and chat responsiveness are non-linear predictors of growth.
Interesting.
So this is how I've been using deep research. This is kind of like the best output that I've been getting for deep research. You can say, hey, you can see that it says it demands strategic agility from creators in 2025. You know, and you kind of walk me through this on YouTube. Data literacy and understanding the data, like who's watching you, how long are they watching for, what are they looking for?
Very interesting.
IP development. So we can ask a similar question.
See about this. I'm going to email you the CSV if that's okay.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah. I'm bear in mind, I haven't given it a CSV before, so we can just see what it happens. Does. Yeah.
Let's see. We'll say deep research testing. Hold on one second. So I'm going to give it a portion of our. Hold on one second. I can do 2 different things. I have one where I have data from ones that are using AI, or I have ones for the no code trends report, and that will be a lot more data.
Yeah, we can try the no code trends. So I said,
no code trends?
Do a deep dive into the no code industry. It's all the relevant papers and sources you find, the authors, methods used, and the results. Study the patterns and what is the kind of output we want.
I want to see where the major trends of what tools they're using and how people are making money. Put it that way. What's the most profitable way to make money from using these tools? Do this. Let me do this real quick.
I haven't used the CSV before, but I'm gonna say include any attached data, and it's good because giving it internal data was on my list of like experiments to try. So.
That's awesome. Okay, let's do it. Let's see. And then what I would do is, if I'm doing that, I would then take this data. This is just, as we're talking about, I'd probably take this data and then describe like what tool or what can I build to help ones reach like profitability or something like that.
Yeah.
I would think about using that as the next thing. Okay, so I have the CSV.
Did you send it?
I'm gonna about to send it. Let's see. As I'm looking that up, Clayton has a question for you. Could you? I'll put it on the screen. You're good. You don't worry. You can switch back. There we go. There you go. So, question for you guys: when it comes to backend, you keep going back to your screen. There we go. Question for you guys: when it comes to backend, do you have success using these coding agents, or do you find you need to push the code into an IDE like Windsurf to connect it to a real backend? Question one. What about you, Dominic?
How much time do I have to answer this? So
like 4 minutes.
So I've used Crew AI, and if I log in, so the thing about I've used Crew AI, and the way I've used Crew AI is I pushed my project to GitHub, I think, and this is actually running in the cloud, but it's running from my code that's actually on GitHub, and I would have to restart the Crew so it's active, because a lot of these tools are actually saving like server capacity for projects that are not active. And I have a project. Let's see if I can remember the name.
And then Clayton also brings up, which like right here, it says, my stack is V0, Claude, and Windsurf. I've never really had success building a full app in one of these builders. Do you want me to go ahead or you keep going?
So I was just gonna talk about the agent stuff. My workflow with the agents, and again, I haven't built any like full applications with it because I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this. And this was my whole point of building kind of this interface is different to ChatGPT or Claude because of the delay time. So when you prompt Claude, it's going to respond within seconds. When you're asking agents to do stuff, it's like asking people to do stuff. It's not just going to happen in seconds. It's going to take some time. So you're not going to get a response straight away. So when you hit deploy and tell the agent to generate a comprehensive report, in my case for these, for this particular agent, what you do, you give it a topic. There's one agent that researches the topic and they're responsible for researching the topic. There's another agent responsible for actually writing. The research agent is specialized in research. The writing agent is specialized in writing. And that's what this agent does. So you can see here, I have keystroke. The topic I gave it was, I think, keystroke patterns and rhythms for personal identification, because you can you can identify people by how they type. That's like actual research. And so it gave me my final output here, but you can see I have a researcher and I have the analyst. I think this took a total of, so this is about 27 seconds, which is not actually that long, but you can imagine if it was doing more than that, if it was web scraping, if it was creating a video, like the more agents you have and the more you have, the longer it would take. And what I've been trying to work out is like,
Oh,
what
keep
should
going.
what I've been trying to work out is what should the workflow be. So here I have a tab. You can actually activate the agent or tell it, hey, I want this task done. And here you can actually see when the task is done. Almost just like I don't know, you are hiring a freelancer. You're going to tell them, hey, I want you to create me a YouTube thumbnail, but it's not going to be 1 minute. They're going to take some time. And so later on, somewhere else, you're going to say, okay, like, have you finished the task? And this is kind of like how I've set this up. I haven't seen too many people talking about that workflow of agents. Like we waited for Vision Agent for like a couple minutes. Even waiting for Perplexity is not the quickest.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've been speaking about that a lot. Like I want to go away and be notified when it's done.
Yeah. I wanted to say two things, and Clayton, you said, oh, sorry, I meant Lovable or Bolt, which is great, makes sense too. And I want to hear more about Crew in a second. Clayton, to show you, and it depends on what you're going to be doing. I'm using very small micro apps right now, and mine, I'm just using Replit because it has everything. So with Replit, I'm going to be able to, it already spins up the back end. I can already have all my tools in one area. So that is what I've been doing when I'm using it. So for example, I have a small app for myself that I'm just tracking my YouTube channel, what's going right, what's going wrong, and then also content ideas. So it's already spinning up the back end. It's already doing all those things for me with this application. Again, for mine, it's a very, very small use case. This is a personal micro app for myself. So I'd love to know, Clayton, if it's an app for just internal use for a small company, for yourself, or if it's for scaling. Yeah. So let me know. I've personally gone with this one. But again, a lot of times I'm just chatting, and they have two different things, the assistant and then the agent. So when I'm having trouble with backend problems with it in Replit, I'm usually just using the assistant if I need help in doing things like that, and then going from there. That's why I like everything with Replit, because especially for me when I was hooking up different databases or I would just have there's a lot of factors that I would just have trouble with using Lovable and using it with Superbase. I found that, now this was early on, and early on was only a couple months, I was getting tons of errors, and then it spent more and more time trying to figure that out than building. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense, Clayton. Mr. Ackenthon, does that make sense what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I was just gonna download your report.
Yeah. Clayton, let me know if that makes sense to you. So as he's doing that, he's getting the info from the CSV. Do you want to share your screen or no? Keep going. Also, too, I'd like to say, Clayton, I always say when I don't know something, I'm either a certain platform that I like or I might need to know more of, need more help with it. I just go to the person's, I go to either a group that is talking about it all the time, or I go into the Discord. So for example, let's talk about, this is Andrew's group. So Andrew has a Replit community group. If I'm looking for how do I do better at using my application, anything to do with the backend, et cetera, then I'll just go and join that group and ask questions in the group. Same thing with Lovable, because with all of these new tools, and especially like Dominic, and we talk about this a lot of times we're experimenting and trying out all these new tools. There's no way that I can go deeper and know all the intricacies. I miss things all the time. So I just join a group and then I'm like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Maybe I'll stay a couple days, a couple hours, but I want to learn how to best use that platform. And so that's what I go step by step. The Lovable group is pretty crazy. They're just there in the live channel in Discord. They're pretty awesome. This Replit Builders, this is a Slack group. Andrew runs that. That's another great one. So I would go from there. I don't know of a Windsurf group right now, but some in the Lovable chat does a lot with Windsurf as well. But of course, Cursor and things like that.
Yeah. I like Cursor. And I am going to use Trey. I know people are like, oh, no, try not. I kind of like their products. I'm not sure that's okay to say.
Yeah.
I like DeepSeek. I like some of the video models and some of the models coming out in China. So I will at least try Trey, especially if it's free. But okay, so Doc, we have
switch it over.
Yeah. We have our prompt. Do a deep dive into the no-code industry. I say list the relevant papers and sources and methods. Study the patterns and make, I don't know what that says, analysis. And English, please. Analyze the trends and monetization opportunities, include any attached data, and I've attached the CSV. I don't know how well it's going to do with that, but let's see. And again, it's going to take a minute or two.
Yeah. And then as that's going, let me see about this. Also too, what I've been working on with using Replit, because they just allowed you to start using Expo so you can create mobile apps. Like that's interesting to me right now. So that's one of the things that you can see that I'm trying to build different platforms or different micro apps for that. Before I was using Cursor and building with Expo and everything. It was okay. I'm just not as proficient using Cursor. So that's why I went back into Replit. But you can do very basic ones that I noticed, and I followed the tutorial that they were that was going on yesterday. It's basically, let me see if I can do it. Right now the app is running. Okay, cool. This one is a very basic one. Okay, my first Expo account. Hold on one second. I had a couple different ones running. Hold on one second. But yeah. No, that was it. And it was basically making an application. Yeah. Create me an app that shows me a random image of a cat every time I press a button. Very simple, right? Yeah. And so when you're using this, you're going to be able to use Expo to look at how it looks and all those kind of things. It's uploading right now. And then, so this was interesting. Again, a month ago, you couldn't do it. This just launched 4 or 5 days ago. So you see how quickly all these things are moving. Like,
do you think it's worth it?
Which part? Is it to get Replit, to pay for it?
Yeah. So I have a lot of I have a lot of tweets saved where it's like, hey, someone's created a Bible app and making 20K a month.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually say those use cases are probably the best use cases, where it's kind of a micro app of a very, very simple use case. Show me another cat.
And so, like, I thought, so you can run it, you can have it on Expo. Like, there's a lot of, now again, there's a lot of cat lovers. I bet you could still probably have a micro app like this that people would go crazy for. But continue. Yeah, I think it's, for me, I think it's worth it. I got it on a deal for a year. For what I'm trying to do, I think it's probably one of the best. I feel like it's going to win. I feel like there's only going to be 3 to 5 that are really going to break out and be great. And that's because Replit for years, I use Replit probably since 2021. It has changed quite a bit, but because the structure has been there and they've always been mobile first and all of these things, the way that they have the new mobile app for you to be able to do this on the go, like, they are just moving so well and positioned. So for me, if it's an all-in, if I had a limited amount of money, I'm worried about scalability of backends and all of these things, I would pretty much put my money on Replit.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't like other platforms. I like other platforms for like the workflow and just the community. I think Lovable is one of the best in class. Yeah. Like they're the most positive. And honestly, to tell you the truth, Dominic, I think it's because there's so many non-coders and ones that are just ones that have interest and they don't know what they don't know, and they're just on it and building random things and just trying to support each other. I think it's one of the best environments.
You know, and I think that's interesting, you know, even the experience on the stream today. The people that has been like, hey, I've been in the industry 15, 20 years, 30 years, 25 years. With what's coming on, I think everybody's a beginner. And if you enter this space right now, saying, oh, I've been doing AI for 20 plus years, like, I don't think it's going to benefit you. I think you have to have like a completely open mindset to everything that is possible. I remember almost a year ago, everybody was saying, hey, it's just a GPT wrapper, like this Bible app or this conversational assistant, or that it's not going to survive. Now people are like, hey, the GPT wrappers are going to be the main thing. You know, like it's moving so dynamically, and the rules are being completely rewritten. Like, I can't even stress it enough that, yes, me and you are creating content all the time about this, but nobody really knows like where this is going. You know, OpenAI have billions. You never know. The next big company, some kid in his basement with his friends actually might just hack something together that totally redefines how we think about AI and like conversational assistants and even, you know, vibe coding. Like maybe there's a completely different way to do it.
Yeah, no. And I think just understanding that, I can't say it better than what you just said. I just think it's just try it out, be open-minded, be supportive, and it's pretty amazing how far you can get. Like I didn't even know this until maybe 3 months ago. We were working with a company. They were trying to build and try to go through all this. Basically, they're trying to find their way. They were burning cash. They didn't know where to go. And I showed them how to use Chatbase in a half an hour, and I didn't hear from them for months. I didn't know that they were using Chatbase as the number one way that they were making money for the company. And the way that they did it was they had a very specific niche, and they were just talking to their target demographic, and they were just chatting with it, and wherever they saw the trends based on the chat, they would go and build that thing for the community. And so they were just using it as a lead magnet, and all of this insights from all of this deep information, because people are using their chatbot, and that's how they're surviving. Like there's so many different things. And by the way, the founder of Chatbase, he was talking about it. Tons of people were saying that he wasn't going to survive once you could do custom GPTs and all this stuff. I think they just hit what, 200K a month now using Chatbase. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. It's just anything's possible right now. Go out, just try
What
these
I've-
things out. Yeah.
What I've seen, so I probably do have a lot more idea frameworks than I probably discuss or tweet about. But when I'm thinking of projects that I want to make, especially quickly, just to test technologies, sometimes I'll take a regular app. Let's say I don't know, my fitness app, and I say, hey, how can I add large language models to this? Or how can I add AI? And one of the easiest ways is predictive capabilities. One of the easiest way is search capabilities. But I think you should look at your home screen on your app and say, hey, what do I use that I can add large language models or AI to this? Or what's happening in my life? Maybe I'm a part of a bike club or a biking network. Maybe I'm a part of a hiking network. Maybe I'm co-parenting. Maybe I have some illness that's like some kind of rare illness that only a certain amount of people in the world have. Like everyone has a unique experience of life, and I think now's the time to explore how do I add AI to this to try and solve problems within this particular space.
Excellent. I love it.
So I've put in the chat the link to the report
Ooh.
with the Perplexity. So maybe you can open that.
Let me see about this. I can see it. Hold on a second.
Is there a better way for me to send it?
Put it in private DM, private chat. I think I can grab it from private chat.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, let's see real quick. Instant answers, blah, blah, blah. I don't use Perplexity enough. All this.
I don't think I can actually see.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Continue. I'm putting it on the other screen, then I'm bringing it in.
Yeah. So this is obviously you can see my prompt, but this is the output. So it did actually use the CSV that we uploaded, which is great.
So it mentions here, which is another thing. Let's see. So it says this report analyzes 137 survey responses from no-code practitioners to identify optional patterns, skill progression models, and monetization. Key findings: 85% of users identify as beginners, only 9.5% achieving monetization. It's interesting that it mentions 137 on that one.
Is that wrong?
I think because it is. Hold on a second. Let me grab that. Because that one has, let me look at the number I'm looking at on my other screen. 1,289.
It might be me. It might be what I actually uploaded. So let me look at. Hold on. I'm just taking a look at what I uploaded.
I do like how it's breaking down the adoption.
What I uploaded is 1,289.
Can we chat with it and just be like, wait a minute, this is from the CSV X, Y, and Z. I wonder if it works that way. I like the breakdown of everything, but I think it would be very insightful if it had all of the data right there.
Yeah. And I'm curious if it cut off the data intentionally.
Ooh, you mean just limits right there? If you do a CSV? That's something. Look at that too. It also shows Python, just the code in Python right there. Super interesting.
It's very interesting. I do think we're like teetering on the bounds of like why is it producing code?
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, they're showing me JavaScript right here. It's talking about barriers. I like the format and what it could do, but I wonder why it's structuring like that. and then it pulled from other references of, look at that. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. What? Let me see it's pulling from testing. It's pulling because, oh my goodness, it's pulling quotes because I have a section where it's saying why they have like a barrier and everything. That is so interesting. So then it has the no-code revolution isn't about replacing developers, it's about expanding the universe of problems we can solve through software. And so it's even taking quotes from, oh wow, interesting. Overall, I like it, but yeah, keep going.
For me, and maybe you don't think of what you do like this. And I started to think about what I do in no code and AI like this too. You've done this survey, and really and truly, if you was in academia, that the survey you've done would come under grant money, and you would get grant money. You've done the survey. Usually, they will do a survey, they will produce their research findings, and send it to conferences and go and speak on the research, and that's a part of thought leadership. It rolls into book deals and all this other stuff. But maybe this is a bridge to help you like accelerate that kind of like generating a report from the from the surveys you're doing, or even expanding on it.
Yeah.
Connecting it to technical topics.
Yeah.
I do know quite a number of researchers researching citizen development.
Yep.
You know, connecting it to some of these other things.
Very interesting. Yeah, I like that. I would say, number one, I like both those ideas, but yeah, I think this is a lot of times. So I actually had a data analysis. I had someone that does that to go and help with building pivot tables, building projections, all of these things. And it took quite a bit of time. But having something like this could really speed up. And just looking at the effectiveness, I love how I'm just very surprised it even tells me about the code and everything like that to structure that. Very interesting to me.
We just have to verify the 137.
So I don't use Perplexity at all. Can you ask follow-up questions and say, I'm seeing the CSV?
Yeah, go ahead and ask the follow-up. And the way I would approach this, I would say, how many what is it, like how many respondents are there, or how many?
Yeah.
Just to verify.
How many respondents are there in the no-code trends report?
Yeah, or in the maybe say in the chat attachment, because I don't think the attachment was titled. Let's see what it was titled.
Yeah, let me
titled no code trends results.
Got it. But I mean, if I'm thinking about how could this work for my industry, if I can get data and get data from different subreddits or whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm getting a lot of data. Oh my God, I just thought about something. Hold on.
So here's what I would propose. I did a hackathon project for Afrotech, and my submission was for commercial real estate developers, and they could type in like an address, like a lot. It's a lot, like an empty lot, and depending on the square footage and like their own personal interest, it will generate ideas for like, hey, you can put a barbershop there, or you can put whatever business there, depending on all these different variables. But more importantly, it said, hey, in North Carolina, they're giving you funding for this particular business, and the licenses are easy to get for this particular business. I think it's a great research tool if you are trying to get into, I don't know, you might be trying to get into data centers, or you might be trying to get into looking for funding in a particular area. I think it's a great research tool, especially when it comes to your local funding. And just giving you ideas, hey, I'm thinking about integrating, I don't know, AI or virtual reality with my plumbing business? Is there funding, or like how should I approach that? I think, is it funding is like almost a simple question. The way I was thinking about where artificial intelligence is now, sorry to use a gun reference, but like using Google or using like the early versions of AI is like having a pistol, right? Like your range is kind of limited to the tool you have with a pistol. Now I've given you agentic systems and I've given you deep research, and that's a sniper. Now you have to extend your range of what you actually think is possible. If you're trying to use a sniper for things in pistol range, it's just not going to work. And I think that's the way, like, your mind around artificial, what is possible, has to kind of expand with the tools you have. And this is like what I'm challenging myself to do. I'm like, hey, like, I'm not thinking big enough. Like, I have notes on theories around new AI frameworks that I haven't pieced everything together, and I haven't seen no literature on it. Let me just give this to the AI and see how the AI pieces it together.
I like that.
Does that make sense? So I'm not I in every industry, I do think people are thinking about things, especially innovators and creators, in new and interesting ways. And I think we need to kind of think 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead. And that's the conversations we need to have with AI today.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, this has been awesome, man. First of all, we want to say thank you so much for everyone that is watching. We've got all over the world, over 100 watching and everything like that, plus on different platforms. So we appreciate you taking the time, being with us on a Saturday, and just chilling and talking about these subjects. As you can see, we're constantly learning, constantly looking at these different things. And that's what it's about. There's no experts. You're never going to see like, okay, this way. No, we're still learning. We're constantly looking at what's happening. I wanted to talk about the sets of data. This was years ago, but I love this, where it's data is plural. Have you ever showed you this?
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you're going to go crazy with this, man. So basically it's a weekly newsletter that shows you like useful and curious data sets. And it's been around for years. And a lot of companies, or if you're looking at different things like The Hustle or Morning Brew, you're like, how did they get that information? Or like, how did they get this data set to do X, Y, and Z? A lot of newsletters subscribe to this newsletter to get their data sets. No joke. And I find it fascinating. I love it. And I think and especially with you, I could just see you going crazy with this thing. I'll put in the chat. But I talk about it all the time because looking at the data and being able to now have AI with Perplexity and other things to start theorizing and testing things out, a lot of possibilities right there. A lot of possibilities. But
I opened one and I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and I almost just fell down like a hole of like reading them.
It's awesome. It's an awesome newsletter.
You got here SBA disaster loans.
I'm gonna switch it over to yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. No, do you want me to switch it to your screen or just?
No, it's okay. I'm just fascinated.
You're in it. So a lot of times when I was working at other like newsletter businesses, they would just go down one of these rabbit holes and just talk about all the different things that they were learning right here. Or now that they
maybe there's a thing here. Maybe we should, in the pursuit of maybe more structure and more consistent, because I am always thinking like, is it, for me, a lot of what we do is easy to follow, but if you're a beginner, it might not be easy to follow. But maybe we take one of these and build something around one of these, like every stream. I might do that myself. Just build something around one of the data sets. Almost every time I stream, I'm gonna take one and I'm gonna say, hey, this is an interesting data set. Let's build something around this. I don't know what I'm going to build around it, but it's going to be something cool.
Let's see about this. Okay. The one in December, it talks about 100 million places, education policies around the world, and Pixar films. Okay.
So read that again. 100 million places. Foursquare has released a data set of 100 points of interest.
100 million points of interest, yeah.
Oh, 100 million points of interest. That's a large data set. Can we see what we're working with? Is it an API?
Let's see. Sign up for the developers, leverage the latest. Ooh, it might be. Join beta.
Yeah, API, but they have to give you. Oh no! If you go up. Go up some more. Access.
Download our free open source data set.
Yeah. So I don't think you have. Oh, yeah, I think it's an API. Mm-hmm. It's like a paid offering, I think. No,
yeah, where's maybe free? Wonder if you could throw this in.
Let me see if I can.
I'm sending it to you.
And I'm also looking at.
Free, high quality. Yeah, I think this should be free. Okay, Explorer. Learn and visualize open source PIOS. Available for download. What? Let me keep reading the article about this. So, it said Foursquare has released open data set describing more than 100 million points of interest across 200 countries. For each place, the data set includes its name, address, latitude and longitude, date entered, date updated, date marked closed, telephone, website, and relevant categories. Among many possible labels, casino, comedy club, 300 plus types of restaurants, and 100 plus types of retailers. Excuse me, let me learn how to read. Candy stores, used car dealerships. Learn essential exploration from Tim Wallace. Interesting. And then it says information about the 53 million places.
I'm trying to find one. I'm trying to find one that's easy for us to navigate pretty quickly. So I'm taking a look at one. It's the opioid settlement expenditures. I'm just seeing what it looks like in a CSV.
Also, too, Pixar film software engineer Eric built and maintains a data set, including structured information about every Pixar film. It lists each film's creators, budget, box office earnings, aggregate critic ratings, Oscar nominations, and more. Interesting.
Okay, so I'm gonna set up a build. If you can just give me maybe a minute or two. I do have a data set. So the data set I have is the opioid settlement expenditures, and I don't know a whole lot about that, but I assume it's related to opioids. And the data set I can see is by state, how many funds they're committing to settlements. And I think this might be an interesting build. So
do you want me to share your screen or no?
Not quite yet.
Okay, no worries. Right now, I'm just looking through the archives. Let's see. And also, too, as you're doing this, we've had clients in the past, if they're working in like tons of different fields, private or public sectors, they need this kind of data simplified or manipulated for them to have key insights based on what they're doing. Sometimes for speeches, sometimes for if they're going after a certain campaign, they need to know this information. There are tons of different ways to, if you start practicing and using it with data sets and doing this thing, that's another thing that you can be offering. Take a look at this. Disability claims processing. NYC evictions, open source weather APIs. Interesting. I cannot tell you, do you know how big certain like YouTubers that just do like they're weathermen, or they just, that's their entire channel talking about the weather in a certain area?
That's interesting. So they just talk about the weather, let's say the weather in London, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all they do. That's all they do. They go crazy just like the Weather Channel of like, oh, there's a storm coming, but it's them streaming, and they're just that's all they're doing. Open. Interesting. Free weather API offers free access for non-commercial use. Rapid updates, 80-year historical data. I mean, you could do so many different things here.
So what I'm setting this up now.
What are you using to set it up? What are you using?
So we can switch over. You want to switch over?
Okay.
So basically, Doc introduced me to this dataisplural.com, and this is an amazing resource. I'm going to do a lot of my builds from here, or I'm going to use it as like a trigger for a lot of builds. And I came across this. I think this is the top one, maybe. Let's see. I don't know. I think this is one of the top ones. You have overdose demographics, but you have opioid spending, settlement spending. And I was like, hey, maybe this is interesting. I did, if we take a look. So I went through and I downloaded the data set, and it looks something like this. It's just a spreadsheet. And what you said, Doc, is, hey, you get the spreadsheet, and people will want to, let's say journalists will look at this and think it's intimidating. They're like, okay, like, how do I even navigate this? How do I understand this? Maybe even academics will look at this and say, especially in specific parts of academia, and will say, hey, this is very, very difficult to navigate. And I'm like, okay, can I make this easier? What can I build around this? And then I went to Gemini, and I basically said to Gemini, suggest builds for, and all I did is took this, copy and pasted. Obviously, visualization and explanations, that's the easiest. That's easy. I thought really the storytelling and impact was very interesting, like creating data-driven narratives or even policy recommendations. I think the policy recommendations can be super interesting. So we may explore data-driven narratives and policy recommendations from the data. What I'm going to do is use base 44 for this. And what I'm going to say with base 44, I'm going to give it some kind of title. Let's see what the opioid spending AI, a web. I'm going to say this is a web application for analyzing opioid spending. My spelling is terrible. Data. And similar to before, we always thinking about inputs and outputs. And I'm going to say, what is the input? The input's going to be some kind of question. What, like, for example, you're going to look at this and you're going to say, you're going to have a question. You're going to say, what was the impact of spending in Alabama on opioid settlements? And that's like a super basic question. We can ask a lot better questions than that. But what we're going to have is a field for the question and a field for like the state you're interested in. So this is where I'm going to start the build, and hopefully we can make it a little bit more complicated over time. I'm going to say create a field for the user question, create a drop-down field for the state. Oh, what did it say? I wish I saved it. And let me try and delete one of these because okay, let me try again. And I think what you mentioned, Docs, is like really important. We often try and think of like completely original ideas, but there's all these data sets out there that are valuable to people. And I think My First Million actually covered this with like maybe water data. There was a guy, and I can't remember the story like word for word, but there was a guy making a killing, basically making the water data for local areas a lot more accessible. And we have data here, and it's not very accessible in the format it's currently in. So we're going to try and make that more accessible. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. No, this is good.
It's pretty quiet. Create an input field for the question. Let's just start there. Hopefully I can.
And as you're going through this,
okay, I need to delete something else, I guess.
Multiple projects. I got you.
Yeah.
As we're going through this, that's the whole thing. Like, and we were talking about building. If you decide maybe you might be paralyzed, like, how do I get started? Where do I go? Well, if you're using already narratives or different data sets, that still gives you the leg up to test this out, go through the process. Then when you are ready to build your own thing, or when you have a client, you've already gone through all of these steps and see, okay, what do I have trouble with? What's giving me errors? Where do I keep getting stuck at? And you can build a lot faster. Mr. Hackathon's been talking about it all the time, like every single time we build, but now use inspiration. You can go to Data is My Plural, go to Hacker News, go to Product Hunt and see what the product of the day is and why, you might say, like, why did they get product of the day? There's probably because there's some kind of traction. There's some kind of interest there. So just work smarter, not harder, with all of this information at your disposal. And I would go one more step too. If you have a very specific job where you're working in maybe it might be an old-fashioned industry. If you're in the space for public health, if you're in the space for insurance, the list goes on and on. Think about how far back they are. They're not using these tools. They're not using AI. What can you build for yourself or your industry that's just not there yet? There's so many different places that you can go with this. Oh, okay. We're building something. What's going on over there?
Yeah, so I ran over to create because I'm over capacity with base 44. Yeah, I get that a lot. But so here we had, similar to before, we have a simple input where you select a state and you select your question about opioid spending data. Now, what I have to think about is currently the data is in this spreadsheet here. And I have to then, what I'm going to do is turn this into an API endpoint. So I need to turn this into a, I'm trying to use another word other than endpoint, but I need to turn this into something that my web app can actually speak, or I say speak, can get this information. So what I'm going to do, are you familiar with Sheety?
Only in passing. I totally forgot about them.
Yeah, so Sheety is like my cheat code. So I'm going to,
I totally forgot about them.
So Sheety will allow us to turn this into an endpoint that is accessible. So if I go to share and anyone with the link, copy the link, go to done. I'm going to create a new project in Sheety.
Totally forgot about this.
And it's created an endpoint for all of the different states, all of the different sheets in this spreadsheet. And so I go down, create project. And now I have an endpoint. So I can actually programmatically add data to this without actually being here. So from my web app, I could actually add data to this spreadsheet. But what I want to use it for is I want to retrieve rows from the sheet. And I need this URL. And I'm going to say, when the user clicks get insights, get the data from for the selected state. This is my first time connecting Sheety to create, so we're going to see how this actually works. And also with create, you typically have to create a function to do this. So we're going to see if it creates the function itself.
Do you have to tell it to create the function? Do you describe it? Tell me more.
I'm going to tell it to create a function. At the beginning, I actually said, don't create a database or functions. So now I'm saying create a function. So we're going to see how it handles that. Create a function to do this.
Now, why did you tell it not to at first?
Because sometimes if you think about when you're actually building, usually I might start with the back end, but even if you start with the front end, sometimes it's easier to build with static data first. So you can isolate, if there is an issue, you can actually isolate it. When it tries to build everything at once, for me, sometimes it's too much. I like to build iteratively, like almost component by component. Like you can see here, we don't have a login, log out, we don't have a sidebar. I want to build piece by piece. And when it breaks, I know, okay, this new piece I added is probably the thing that broke it and it's clashing with something else. And that's kind of like how I like to build my projects. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you build your projects like that?
It's very similar. Every single time I'm doing this, I'm thinking about it. Kind of just depends on the project, right?
Yeah.
If depending on what I'm doing, what I'm trying to create, all of those different things. But I like making it simple first and then going step by step. Yeah.
So it is creating a function to do this. And now I think about it, we could have just stored the data in create, but it's
really?
no biggie. We're gonna see what it does. And again, I'm building iteratively, so I haven't asked it to get the insights right now. I just want it to get the data from the spreadsheet and know it's got the data successfully. So it doesn't even matter what I write here because nothing's gonna happen. I just want it to get the insights or get the data, sorry. And it's failed to get the data.
And then right here, you're just asking questions.
Yeah.
Based on, hey, I'm getting this error. What's going on?
Yeah. I don't know why it's failing to get the data. It said it potentially didn't format the request the right way. Let me just think. I'm going to give it this JavaScript example. Okay, let's try. So it's finished. It's still building.
Clayton mentions, I like to start backend and auth first, then UI, but component by component. Love it.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll do that definitely when, say, for instance, I'm using Flutterflow. I'm doing any kind of builder like that. I'll make sure everything's connected, make sure everything is firing, and then we'll start building out from there. Yeah.
And this is so interesting to me because in Flutterflow or Glide or Softer or Bubble, this would have been super simple for me. So let me try and think of another workaround. Let's see. I am going to say new database, and I'm going to call this So I'm going to store this internally to this database. For some reason, it's not liking the Sheet link. Usually that works pretty well.
So what do you feel like the alternative might be? You said you could save it using create in there. Are you planning to do that?
Yeah, I'm going to. Hopefully I can just upload create table. This is going to be very long.
I've never used create or seen any of their database. Didn't know. So they have you mapping it out, and then you can connect it to your project from there.
Yeah, and I don't actually generate it. No, I actually don't want to map this out. I just want to upload this, and they don't have that feature currently. Another way to do this. Let me see. Where does this data live? What I'm going to do is try and publish this to the web. So let's see how this works. I'm just going to see the link it gave me. I'm just taking a look at the link it gave me. This is all the same URL. It might be a little bit challenging, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see if this works. I'll go back to projects. Okay, I'm gonna say remove the function. So what I'm going to try and do, because it's not like in the webs, it's not like in just calling that data via Google, via Sheety. And what I'm trying to do now, I publish this to the web, and I'm basically going to say, hey, like treat this as a web page and go get the information as if it's a web page.
Interesting.
The issue might be the context window, because this is a lot of information, but it's not only that, it's all the information there. Because when we actually look at the link, the URL is the same for all of these tabs. And it might even just grab the terms of use. It might not even grab the whole thing. So we're just going to see what it comes up with. Now I probably have about 24 minutes max, dog, because it's like 1:38 a.m.
Oh, we gotta look. We were gonna wrap it up, man. This is late night for you, man.
Yeah, I got gym in the morning. So
is this been helpful as what you were planned on doing? Is this too much off the beaten path than what you were planning to do tonight, man?
No. I was just gonna try and build different stuff. So this is what we've been doing. I just want to try and make it easy for people to follow too.
Yeah.
But also I want to make it still fun and not like super structured for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am going to be very deep in this database here. Look, hyperlocal Trump Harris results, private schools. That'll be super interesting to people. Hurricane landfills or landfall. Sorry.
No, there's tons and tons of things there. I know he has a podcast too. I haven't listened to it, but I love seeing insights like that.
Yeah.
There was I gotta find a book. It's another book, but it's all data sets about businesses, how they run, the most profitable. Casinos are actually one of the most profitable, not surprising. But they were breaking down basically how big the business was, how fast they were to get to a certain level, all of those things.
Oh, this was the one you was talking about, the Pixar films one. And it's structured information. That's interesting. So we're waiting for it. It's building. So while I'm waiting for it, I'm just film tour story, release date, film rating. Okay, that's basic information.
I could see it used for ones that are obsessed with Pixar or something like that, where it's like something that you build that's very interactive or something like that, based off of that data set. Or a random, I would say, even quiz generator based off of all those different things.
Okay, it says finish. Please work.
Now, what did you end up doing?
I published the data as a web page, and loading. I don't know if loading's good or bad. I published it as a web page, and no data found for Alabama. Interesting. Okay. Display a preview of the response. Okay, we're gonna try something else, though.
Okay.
This is basically my process. So, like, people don't realize, like, the builds. For me to take 10 minutes to build something, I have spent days and weeks trying to do something very, very simple. So we're in OpenAI, and what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to think of if I'm going to do this with OpenAI or I'm going to do this with okay. I'm going to do this with OpenAI. I'm going to try with this with OpenAI. I haven't tried this with OpenAI before, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
And what I'm doing is I'm creating a custom assistant with OpenAI, and I'm uploading that data set that I just downloaded. And it might not even... Clicking too much. So download, I want to download CSV. And let's go back to the Assistants Playground. It only wants PDFs. That can't be right. Let's try. Okay. So I have attached this. The code interpreter enables the assistant to write and run code. The tool can process files with diverse data and formatting. Let me just enable this. Yeah, it's not supported there. So I don't know if that way is going to work either.
Okay, so let's just back up before. What are we trying to solve?
We have the data set, and we have our web application. Now, our web application has to retrieve the data. It is struggling to retrieve it in Google Sheets. It is in the databases that they have natively, which I created a database. I would just want to upload a sheet and it just do it automatically.
And structure the data and everything.
Yeah, especially since we have so many columns, so many rows. But that's not where they're at yet.
Okay.
Maybe I'm missing it somewhere.
And we can't use CT for the endpoint because it's not working there.
Yeah.
Could we do anything using make?
That's what I'm just having a little think. What would I do? Let's just test this. So I'm sure I mentioned Chip before. You've mentioned chat-based. Chip's probably my go-to for like AI assistants. We're gonna just let this log in because I know it's it's extremely easy to create a knowledge base with Chip. And I want to test this.
So some people are using app scripts to do it. I am not great at app scripts.
I actually have a tool to create app scripts for you.
You what now? What?
Yeah. It's one of my random builds.
What?
So let's find a place to save this.
So you're switching over to Chip.
Yeah.
There must be a simple way. Think about that.
How much data is here? Okay. I think I do know a simple way. CSV to JSON. CSV to JSON. CSV. Downloads. Convert. Perfect. Copy to clipboard. And now I'm going to say, I'm going to go back to my project, wherever it is. And I'm going to use Gemini because it has a large context window. And I am actually going to go to my project and I'm going to say, when the user clicks get insights, answer their question for the particular state they've selected for the following data using Gemini. And I'm just going to paste my data there. Oh, it is not letting me do that. Terrible. So I basically thought, hey, I can just, because Gemini can handle it, I can just put it in there, but they're probably not using Gemini for actual, like, this chat right here. So let's go back to our original method. And this is not going to work on this account. So yeah, though I am not sure how I would do this.
Hey, this is, I think, exactly what we've always been talking about. I think it's been pretty clear on everything. We're testing a lot of different things. We're trying a lot of things a lot. I don't really see that being a problem. The whole thing was, you can see it for the last 5 years of the channel. When we talk about build with me or these build sessions, it literally is seeing a bunch of tools that we're using, what we're trying to solve, seeing what going from there. There's going to be another day. Guess what? There's going to be another stream later this week. Or
I
next week.
think
It's Saturday.
I have a strong indication when I sleep and wake up. I'm gonna be like, why didn't I just do it like this?
Exactly. I appreciate it. Again, people watching, we appreciate all the people watching from around the world all day. Hold on a second. Kudos to you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back later next week. We have a couple other videos coming out, some business videos and things like that. But Dominic, we just appreciate the time, man. For you chilling at 1 o'clock plus in the morning in the UK, man.
Yeah, so I'm trying to stream a lot more, trying to make
man.
it more structured, but also trying to make it a little bit more entertaining and not so serious. And trying to figure out like what is my voice when it comes to streaming.
Yeah, I love it. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Everyone from watching all over the world, we will see you next time. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.